Welcome to another episode of the Coffee Conversation, powered by Lions Club of Mumbai Shining, the Emerging India Forum TIF, and the Indian Business Group Chamber of Commerce IBG. Today's theme is Shakti, energy within you, around you. And today's topic is 15 reasons why you shouldn't ignore your writing coach. Today with us, we have Pooja Dubey. Pooja Dubey is a technical writer, a B2B content creator, and a writing coach for aspiring and new writers and authors. More than a decade back, she turned her passion into her profession and transitioned from a business development role to writing. Since that, she has produced more than 1,000 pieces of content for over 100 companies and has conducted over 150 hours of online sessions for learners on topics on writing, storytelling, creativity, and much more. She has also been listed by the contractors and freelancers as the top 10 Indian writers on LinkedIn that have been invited by several MBA colleges and organizations to guide students on creative learning and development. Very grateful to have you here, Pooja. It's a really exciting coffee conversation today. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great opportunity, and I get a chance to speak up to new and inspiring writers and authors. It's a wonderful journey that I've been through. Creative journeys are always exciting, and I would love to share it.
Definitely. Okay, so for the viewers, we'll be dividing the part of the conversation, which will be the professional, the personal, and then there'll be a fun element that is going to be a choose one, leave one conversation. That's going to be like the rapid fire. So before we begin to it, ma'am, we have already we've already got a very brief intro about you. So before we start in, could you tell us something about your educational background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a BE in electronics and telecom. Then I did MBA. After that, I studied psychology. I've done MA in that, and currently I'm pursuing doctorate program that is in learning and development. Besides that, I've always been a learner. So I also love to train people. So that is my area of passion: writing, learning, and training. This is what I do. I also have developed a few websites. I work on blogs. I do personal branding for myself as well as for my clients. Currently, I'm residing in Pune. Before this, I was in Mumbai when my actual journey started. And after I came to Pune, I took up a job. And here I'm a lead technical writer with the company. It's completely B2B space, which is my specialization for more than, I think, now 13 years.
Okay. All right. So then let's get into the conversation. So Pooja, as you're a writing coach who's training future writers and in the exhalations of works of creation, and you're also the founder of Global Writers Academy, right? So
Yeah.
just for the starters, like when someone says that he wants to be a writer, or he wants to be an author, and he comes to you, how do you prepare them for that particular course of line that okay, he wants to be an author, he wants to be a writer? So what are some things mandatory that you do, and how do you prepare such people?
Yeah. So most of the people who come to me are those writers who want to create a space in B2B arena. So the purpose they want to be a writer is because they want to either create their own brands or they want to earn through it. So it is never about just expressing yourself. That of course is a step in writing, but when people come to me, they are coming here to bring an outcome. So my programs are also outcome based. So I start with the discovery sessions where they have to analyze themselves and come up with an idea why they want to write and what do they want to achieve. And as the next step, then I help them understand readers. Here, when I talk about readers, these are not readers who want some entertainment. These are readers who want results. So it's more of an educational ground. After they understand readers, then I get to actual writing part where thinking is the major part and writing is actually a small part of it. It's like 80% of the time you're thinking and doing research, only 20% of the time is actual writing. So that is what my training approach is also.
So, but like if someone comes up to you and he's like, I want to be an author, I want to write a book. So what are the first pieces of advice you give this particular person?
First, I will say why do you want to write a book? And by writing this book, so I train people on writing self-help books. So
Okay.
self-help book, as the name itself suggests, is there to help someone. Either you want to give them answers to their questions, or you want to give them solutions, or you want to help them in certain area which is difficult for them. So how do you want to help people? So if an author comes to me, he has to know how his knowledge or experience can help other people. So the first step is always to understand how you want to help people and what is your primary methodology to help them. Now I can give them fundamentals of writing, but I cannot create the solutions. That is something they have to create. So usually people who come, they to me, they are experts in certain category. Let's say they are experts in banking, then they'll talk about banking. The solution they will they will bring on a plate, but I will tell them how to use this solution and create a book.
Okay. You mentioned some time back about like brand building and branding. So now we know that branding is a strategy. So do you share, so what kind of strategies do you share with your students when it comes to like branding?
Okay, so frankly speaking, strategy is a tricky word because same strategy doesn't work for everyone.
Yes.
You have to build your own strategies. I give them examples of what strategies I have used and they have worked for me. But more than the strategy, I give them the approach, how I came up with this strategy, so that they can create their own strategies. It depends on a lot of things, on you as a person also, how you are executing it. So maybe it's the same idea and two different people are working on it, but one is successful, other is not. So the difference could be of approach. It could be also your own style. Maybe people can connect with someone very easily, but not with you. So you need to know the approach, how to develop a strategy, and can work around it and create a strategy for yourself.
Have any like students come up to you with the strategy halfway and they're like, ठीक है हमारे पास एक book है मैम हमने ये लिखा है इसको अभी हमें एक strategy बना के दो कि हम इसको branding कैसे करेंगे क्या? Have you any time had such students in your life who have come up approached you? So what was your advice that you have given to them?
Yeah, most times actually you get such people who have some idea, otherwise they would not be coming to me for with a book idea. So but their strategy, their idea is half cooked always, and
Okay.
it's quite not streamlined basically. So once there was a client who came up with a book, he had written some 70 pages, and he said that I want to refine it. Okay, this is the idea. When I read the entire book, I realized that it was actually not going anywhere.
Okay.
There were a lot of good concepts inside. Some stories were also there. Some examples were there, but it was not going anywhere. So I restarted with that, my first discussion of self-discovery. Why do you want to write this book? After that was clear, we created a new outline. And I suggested, let's come up with your story as the first masterpiece you give. And then you start telling people what to do, how you because he's a person who is well read and he has achieved a lot in life. So I told him that your brand is already there, so keep that in forefront, because that is what is going to sell the book, you. So we started with his story first, and then we continued with the fundamentals, because people are most interested in stories. So approaches can be different depending on what your idea is.
Okay. We talking. Let's keep the conversation a little bit towards branding because the opening has started with branding. So, like, if I have to ask you, what goes into like making a brand? Because like brand, when you think about making a brand, it's always like a tough journey. So, if I may ask you, like, you have got Global Writers Academy, and as a brand right now. So, what efforts and how tough was it to build a particular brand?
It is actually tough. I won't say it's easy. Otherwise, every company would have a good brand. So it's like, there are some principles, that there are some tested methods that are available. You can learn, but you don't know how to execute them. A lot depends on your execution. When I started to create a brand called All Acumen Research Company. but it went nowhere because I really didn't know how to create a brand. Then I tried some more things, like I started Women Power as a magazine. I could not do it. So there were like 3, 4 test strategies I tried, and most of the times I failed. Then one day I was just talking to one of my potential clients, and I was talking about my company, and he showed no interest. Then suddenly he started showing interest in me as a person. That's when I realized that it's not the company name that's clicking here. It's me who's clicking, because he was asking personal questions about me as a writer. So I created a brand, writer Pooja Dubey, and it
Okay.
immediately started to click. I started with a website, and I made sure that website had the right colors, right look, right font that shows my personality. Even the logo, I got it created by the company so that it shows me. And that's when actual brand building started. Then when I had to come up with this Global Writers Academy, at start my own brand was actually stopping me because people knew
Okay.
me as a writer. How do I tell them that I'm also a trainer? So yeah, it is like, once you have a brand, then you cannot create a new brand. Not so easy. So then what I did, now instead of two brands fighting together, I started using my personal brand to promote my
Okay.
professional brand. So I kind of combined both of them, and then the other brand also picked up. So it's like
So,
an
but
experimental ground.
but when you were like, so because I understand like, okay, this is your personal brand, writer Pooja Dubey, and then you go to Globus Academy, Writers Academy. But then how did you like this thing? This is kind of interesting. We would want to know a little bit more about it. Like, how did you match up both?
Yeah, sure. Like, you can say I learned a little from existing brands. If you talk about Apple, okay,
Okay.
more than Apple, it's Steve Jobs who made it big. So everyone is talking about him,
Right.
and then comes the his brand. So it's like it is inseparable. When two brands become inseparable, that's when they start supporting each other. So I started reading about it, how Apple made it big, and nobody talks about Apple. They talk about the devices. They talk
Right.
about iPhone, iPad. Nobody says Apple. They talk
Right.
about Steve Jobs. So it's like a blended model. And I thought if that's what is going to work, I'll also try that. And yeah, that's how it worked for me.
Okay. Okay. Coming to the next question. Okay. We like this statement is very familiar with you. Writing is my oxygen. So this statement clearly means on how much you love writing and how much it interests you and all that. But then again, when we talk about brand building and when we talk about writing, they are like two different fields. So could you like tell us how they're interconnected with each other?
Yeah. So actually, considering my profile as a B2B writer, there's already a connection, because the reason why B2B writing exists is because you have to build a brand. So there
Right.
is already a connection. But yeah, there's a different side to it also, where I would like to write some fiction where I cannot earn, but that is my passion. So I do write fiction. I've written a couple of stories, and few of my stories also got published. One story was there in one anthology. Then I also published stories on Readsy. I write my own books. Even now I'm writing a novel that is taking a lot of time. I don't know when it will be over, but it's huge. So I do both. On one side, I am working so that I can create a brand, I can help companies, and I can help authors become authors, promote them. On the other side, I have a free hand. If you see my LinkedIn, sometimes I just write anything I feel like writing, or there are a
Okay.
lot of blogs that I keep writing, even on Insta. So it's like, I'm playing also on one side, and on the other side I am doing like everything professionally. So I can do both.
Right. But then again, like as writers come up to me also, like when we have interviews and all that stuff goes on, everyone comes up, like it mostly happens with creative people, okay? Like they have a lot of thoughts, they have a lot of things going on, and they start putting it, writing it down, suddenly they get the writer's block. It's completely
Yeah.
like, they get stuck. So what was like, I assume you also may must have gone through those phases in life when you had the writer's block. So what did you do on that part? Like, because I completely understand when you go to a client and the client is explaining you, is like blah 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 blah. And sometimes it just bounces over your head and then you're like, you can't think, you get that full block. In your upcoming years as a writer, how did you cope with such situations?
So I mostly use two strategies. One is I completely forget about what I'm writing. I take a full break. And after that, I start reading what I have written so far from with fresh eyes, as if I'm a reader. Then I suddenly start getting ideas.
Okay.
This is one strategy that I use. And the second strategy that I use is by, basically zoning. I call it zoning. Zoning is like, suppose I want to write about data. So before writing about data, I have to get into the zone of data. So what I do, I open an Excel file, I randomly put some data there and I start analyzing it. That's when I'm in the data mood.
Okay.
And then I start writing. It's
Okay, this is an interesting fact. I never knew like.
You can try that.
But then again, like everyone has a different way of coming up. So this is your same technique when you're writing fiction as well, or it's like something else.
Yeah, fiction also I have to get in the zone. If suppose I'm writing some horror story, I like horror, so I watch a horror movie. I'm into the zone, then I can write. So right now I'm working on a fantasy. It's a paranormal mix of occult science. So I've got some occult science books also, and I watch series like Teen Wolf or Vampire Diaries. That's when I get into the zone.
Like we all need inspiration from somewhere and come in the zone.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, now when we talk about like companies, like we have like seen in the past, like there are many multinationals who come up and write things and all that. So if one way, if like some firm gets defamed, okay, in front of the audience because of the writing and everything, how do firms like deal with that particular part?
Yeah, they have to, basically give something to their readers or their potential clients as a compromise or, in exchange of this thing. So sometimes it happens when I have a client. Once I had a client who wanted me to write a book and it didn't work for us because the rate he was offering was too low. And I was just demotivated after a point of time. So I said, I'm not going to work, but this is what I can do. You don't need to pay me the full amount, and you keep whatever you have given. That's enough for me. It was already in negative, but then my brand was more important than that money. So I have done it with 3-4 clients actually, who I realized we were not good fit. So I gave them, okay, you don't need to pay me extra. In fact, with one client, I also returned. That's when, and one of these clients, he actually gave me a very good testimonial on my website because he was not satisfied, but then he realized why I'm doing this. So when I returned him the money, he was like, fine. I only asked him, okay, how much money do you want me to return? So whatever figure he pointed, I simply gave him.
Okay.
And companies also do that, like Amazon. Once I had some problem with Amazon, so some product issue was there, and I was not happy. So I called their customer care. They said, okay, we are going to give you some $5 credit that you can use for buying anything on Amazon.com. I was okay. Easy to actually get back a customer as long as you're willing to let go of something.
Right. Let go. Like letting go is a very important thing in life for everyone. That's a very deep thing what you have just said unknowingly, but very beautifully said.
Yeah.
So, but like when we talk about like technical writing, when we talk about fiction, when we talk about novels and all that, and there are multiple people who come from multiple like thoughts and who write all this. So when people come up to you and they say that I want to write a particular thing about it, I want to be a technical writer, or I want to write fiction, I want to write non-fiction. So is there a certain kind of a strategy or a kind of a way that everyone has to write separately, or it's the same process?
process might remain same, but the approaches can differ as a technical writer, because like I said, writing is more about thinking and research than actual writing. So the way the world is seen by a technical writer is very different from the way a novel writer would see the world. This is why I use zoning, because if I am more of a technical writer professionally, but suddenly I start writing a book, I won't be able to do that because I need a different thought process to be able to write a book. So I have to get into new zone. That's why I have a lot of books. I have more than 1,000 books. I keep reading every day. So
Okay.
it's very easy for me to jump from one zone to another. Yeah, so your approach has to be very, very different. So the purpose is different. The way people connect with you, expectations they have from you, very different.
So when we come about expectations, like this is very famous quotes, expectations hurt when everyone comes up with those quotes in life. So as a writer, when you're writing something, how do you match up to one's expectations? Like just out of curiosity, I want to ask you that one.
Yeah, I cannot, match up to personal expectations of people around me. Not. But client expectations, yes, I can, because they have logical expectations. They don't ask for illogical things. And fortunately, I have been able to meet most of the expectations.
Okay.
There could be few. It always happens. Nobody is perfect, but yeah, most of the expectations I am able to meet. Like simple things. A client wants, if a B2B client wants an article, basic thing is that it is a B2B arena. That means the people who are going to read it are also well read. They are educated, very well educated. Maybe a CEO could be reading that article. That article cannot be half cooked. It has to be well researched. And many writers, they don't know how to do research, which is why finding a writer in B2B space is very difficult. Next thing, suppose you want to write for an IT company. If you're writing for an IT company, you have to understand IT. You cannot say, I don't understand IT, I'm just going to write. Right. You cannot. So this basic, now client is not going to teach you what is Internet of Things. You have to learn yourself. And most people are unwilling to learn. That is why they are not able to write and say, okay, this is very difficult, I cannot do this. You have to, in B2B space, you have to learn every single minute. That is also what client is expecting. And they are not even saying that, I'm giving you this dump and you just create some article. They are coming up blankly. You decide the topic, you decide the approach, you decide the style, you write it. Right. Sometimes you only publish it. They come with, big bag of expectation. The only few people can actually fulfill. But the best part of it is the more expectations you can meet, more you can earn. So you have to create a balance. If you are okay, earning okay, then don't meet all the expectations. If you want to earn really well, you have to follow.
So fair enough on that. Okay. If anyone wants to be well versed with the coming updates and whatever's going on in the writing industry, how does one keep themselves updated? Or specifically, how do you keep yourself updated? If I may change the question.
Yeah, it depends on which area. So suppose if I have to think about the fictional area, then I follow websites like Readsy, or if I have to follow the books, then I will just look through the books that are getting published on Amazon. I will use Kindle. If I have to work on B2B arena, since I'm in the tech space, McKinsey, HBR, Sloan Management Review, these are very good sites. If you talk about content arena, then there is a new app, I think Thinkly, where all the content writers are just writing their thoughts. So you can work around that. Sometimes I also join groups, writers group. I also started one readers group where readers come. If I am a writer of a book, I should understand what readers want. So I created a readers group. So now they come, they read, and whatever difficulties they have in reading, sometimes it's like some books they really love. So I know, okay, if they like this book, there has to be a reason why they like it. So I try to, so when I read a book, I don't read like a reader, I read like a writer. So my approach is very different. I am trying to understand where is the writer coming from and what is reader liking. So that is also, you can say, internal research in my head going on always.
That's like the way you're explaining it to me, and I'm really feeling like, more than writing, you're like that observer of that psychology kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Like
that's why
writing is
I studied
completely,
psychology.
it's completely like psychology. Okay, isko ye pasand hai. Okay, this has to be done. You have to put this book out. But when
Yeah.
you talk about like psychology and being observant, when it comes to particularly in writing, many people like lack that particular thing out, because I don't know, like with the upcoming technology, well, I'm not aware if you may be aware of it, but there is a lot of AI written articles, and then there's plagiarism, and then there is mix match. Like, so when someone is trying to write something, or anyone who's there watching these particular things, or who's planning to go forward and use such particular softwares or such kind of technology, what would you recommend them? Should they use it? Should they not? Or should they go and approach like a writer?
Okay. So I'll tell you, instead of, seeing it as a threat, I see it
Uh-huh.
as my opportunity. Now there
Okay.
is a client who pays me. Okay. Now she says, I have some projects of my clients that you can work on, but the client is not willing to pay more. So
Okay.
I said, fine, I will then churn the article using AI and I'll
Uh-huh.
just edit it. Is that okay with you? She said, yeah, it's okay with me.
Okay.
But when you're writing article for me, because I'm paying you more, you write it yourself. So I
Okay.
divide my work into two areas. One, AI article, I just edit it, where I also use Copy AI is one platform where you can generate as long as you want a blog article. But yeah, its quality is not good, of course. It's very basic writing, but it's
Okay.
enough for me to start. So I use both the approaches. So AI is not a competition for me. It is a help for me, because if I have to produce in volumes, I'll also suggest client to, consider this, but you have to have an editor, because these guys, it's just the logical connection they create. They cannot create stories. And even if stories are there, they're very basic cooked up stories taken from somewhere, just rephrased. So they are not original
Reworded
stories.
basically.
Flow
Okay.
is not going to take you to any destination. So yeah, the basic groundwork AI can help you, but the AI doesn't do research.
Okay.
So if it is a B2B article that requires research, B2C articles you can work with AI. B2B you cannot work with AI.
Okay.
Simply can.
So according to you, like for our viewers, if you could define what is B2B and B2C in writing, if you could just tell us what it means.
Yeah. B2C is like, you are reading
Mhm.
and you are reading for your personal interest. B2B is like you are reading, but you're reading so that you can take a decision about whether to purchase a product for your company or not.
Okay.
Suppose there is an ERP solution, a salesperson comes and gives you a demo of that solution. Should you buy it or not? These kind of decisions, you have to understand how ERP works. So
Mhm.
B2B is more of educational arena where you educate your readers. B2C is you entertain them, you pull them, you
Mhm.
attract them, you hook them.
Okay.
B2B also you hook, but the educational factor is there, and you cannot, always use storytelling here. That is when new concept is coming up, which is called data storytelling. That's
Mhm.
the most difficult concept actually, because here you're combining a very, raw and logical thing like data, numbers with story.
Okay.
Combining that is really tough. So you have to appeal to both sides of the brain, the analytical and creative. So holistic thinking is what is working. So this is picking up in the writing world now, B2B space.
Okay. No, very beautifully said. Okay, now when we come back to your part where you talk about zoning. So when people like write and everything, many of them are into like I know personally a few writers who go before writing, meditate, roam around in places and everything. So would you say this is their form of zoning?
Yeah, this could be.
It could
As
be.
I also used to go to beaches when I had to write stories. So I used to work with HCL where my clients were in Nariman Point. So I would go have a meeting with the client, and after that I will go and sit at the beach and I'll write stories. Because as long as I was in the office, I could write about logical things. But if I have to write about, let's say, a love story or a fantasy story, I cannot do it in office. I have
Right.
to go to a place that's beautiful, because that inspires. So I look at the clouds. This is what I do very often, in rainy season, of course. So I look at the clouds. I keep watching them, and I observe their shapes. What does it look like, and all that. And so that certainly gives me some new ideas. So yeah, there I do zone.
I'm seriously loving this word zoning. You have literally brought it a whole new concept. I'm honestly telling you, it's very beautiful. Like this zoning word, you have like completely made it a different meaning out over there.
Yeah.
Right. So now we'll head up to the personal journey of yours. We are done for the profession. So what led you towards like writing? Where did writing all start in your life?
Actually, when I was a kid, I used to tell stories to people. I used to write in my diary, scribble some, sometimes shairi, stories, or anything. But then I never knew that writing could also be a profession. And when I thought of becoming an author, I had this dream always. Someday I will become an author, but I never tried that because my English was pretty bad. I was from Kendriya Vidyalaya, and the
Okay.
students there, they don't get good English teachers, so my English was pretty bad. I think till 21 years of age, I could not even speak one single sentence in English properly.
Yeah.
So I never tried writing, and then I decided now I want to become a writer because this is my passion. But for that, I have to learn this language because I wanted to write in English.
Mhm.
So I started learning and I started writing. Initially, I used to write really crap, but then I continued writing, and then a new concept came in the world. In India, you could say blogging. Blog
Mhm.
was not there in the last decade. So it suddenly came, and somebody told me in my college, and I said, I should also try. Is it free? And I said, you free? Okay, fine. Let me try. And I started writing there. After
Okay.
a couple of months, I realized that people are actually reading it. So one friend told me, there is a facility called Counter. You can actually find out how many people are reading your blog. So I was in engineering college before that, so I understood program. I have done more than 15 programming languages. So I did some coding, and I created a Counter, and then I realized there were 500 unique people.
Wow.
It's like 500. That means I'm writing good. So then I started actually consistently writing
So it started all from there.
from a blog.
Okay. What inspired you to like like go for aspiring writers, or like try to make like help them out or try to guide them? What was that motivation that came up to you?
Yeah, so once, I went to a party to my friend's place. At that time, I was just trying my hands on writing. And so this guy was, I knew he was a content writer for 5 years. So I asked him, how is it going? I've started doing it. I'm really enjoying it. He said, oh, I have stopped writing. I said, why? So he said, you don't get paid and you keep writing and the clients
Mhm.
keep deducting money and all that. You have to pay for penalties, and it's like pennies. So it's like, why are companies paying pennies?
Right.
And at that time, what used to happen, these companies, they won't pay you for the full length article.
Okay.
They will remove the articles, a, the, and they will remove these articles, prepositions like in and all. They will only count the nouns, verbs, adjectives kind of words, and that's how they would calculate. So of
Okay.
course, writers would get pennies. Then I thought this was not right. Then I started writing about it on Facebook, and I realized there were many people who were actually writing. So overall, Indian writers started to create groups and started to talk about, this is not right. Let's decide. We are not going to, reduce the amount for articles. What if we don't add articles? Then will your article look good?
Huh.
So things changed. That then people started discussing about low rates. Then I also started having those discussions that We should not offer our work at low rate. Why don't we ask for higher rates? If we are good, then we can ask. Yeah, I agree. If people are new and they are not good writers, they can work for lower rate. So that's why
Right.
it was like it was like a wave. All the writers in India were complaining. And that's when I realized that there are two kinds of writers who want to keep improving, and writers who just want to earn through writing. Now, people who want to keep improving are the real people who have passion for writing. Others are just using their skill to earn something extra, and they never take writing as their primary profession. So I thought, just because of these people who do not take writing as primary profession, even good writers are not able to earn.
Right.
So branding has to come into picture. That is where I was able to earn much more than what an average writer. Even today, we find some writers who are working at 35 paisa per word
Yeah,
rate.
I know. I'm aware of that.
So I started coaching those writers where they have quality, and they should not ask for anything less than 1 rupee. Now, even like 2 rupees is a minimum, but you should not work for anything less than 1 rupee. And that's where I wanted to create a more quality writers and just push aside. Now, this AI thing that you were talking about, this AI thing is going to badly hit those poor writers
Right.
because their quality can easily be reproduced by AI.
Mm-hmm.
But the fine writers who really do research well, who really create stories and unique content, they will never be threatened by AI. AI cannot think like humans.
Right. That's there. And because this is a very in the writers community, this is a very important thing and it's a harsh reality about like everyone going to that pennies, like penny stocks, 25 paisa, 35 paisa. And I met a few people on that thing. And there's always that this and most of the people like, when you go to corporates and everything, all of them feel that, अरे भाई लिखना तो है, क्या करना है? And I've been in such kind of meetings and everything. I look at those people's face and I be like, dude, what? Is writing is not easy what you feel it is. And I remember like when we were in the meeting and we had a few writers who have come up like, and I think these were hardly like, like graduates, or, just aspiring to be something. And I remember seeing their faces and I was like, damn, yeah, you're like, and because kaisa hota ki abhi aap nikle ho, you're like, you're like just finished graduated, you want to give your hand, chalo tabhi samajh mein aa jata hai. But these people don't realize it, like indirectly, or they're diluting the market themselves with it. So I can really I really can relate with you on this part very nicely.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one example.
Yes.
There was one guy who once called me and he wanted some writing work. So I asked him about his profile. He said, I have 10 years of experience in writing. I said,
Okay.
that's wonderful. So yeah, I can. So why don't you do one thing? Write a sample for me. I'll give you the topic. Just write 350 words. This is what I do, because
Mhm.
sometimes if you ask them for sample, they give someone else's sample and they call it theirs. You can never know. But if
Right.
you have given them something to write, 350 words, where can you use? You cannot use, but at
You
least
can.
their quality will come out. So he said, no, 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 I have 10 years of experience. I'm not going to give you an exclusive sample. I also give exclusive samples to my clients. I only offer them. They don't ask. I
Okay.
offer them. Because if they don't know me already, then I offer them. So he just refused. I said, okay, fine. Then you send me your samples. I said, okay, let's see if he's so confident. Maybe he's pretty good. Then he gave me, and then he did not even have many samples. Then he said, yeah, I remember I have one sample and I will send it to you. And it was a copywriting sample. I think it was around 100 words max. In those 100 words, I was able to point out 5 mistakes, grammatical.
Okay.
And then I wondered, what was this guy doing for 10 years?
Right. And then after that, what was his reaction like? Like after 10, you told
I
did
told
you
him bluntly, so many errors. Forget client, even I won't tolerate it. You really need to learn writing.
So then after that, what was he like? Did he say anything after that or no?
No, I simply told him, yeah, I cannot work with you. My clients are used to getting high quality. I cannot afford your quality. And he was
And-
asking for 2 rupees for what? What are you saying? 2 rupees? 25 पैसा भी नहीं दूंगी.
हाँ, like 2 रुपए को हक से मांग रहा है भाई तू.
I'm
So
willing to pay as much. Actually, I never negotiate with my writers. If they say 2 rupees, if I have a client, I can pay 2 rupees, I will hire for 2 rupees. I will never negotiate. Negotiation, so मैं मतलब वेजिटेबल वेंडर से भी नहीं करती हूँ. Negotiate करती ही नहीं हूँ मैं.
That's good. Yeah. Okay, let's moving on to the next question. Okay. Now, obviously, as a human and as a person, I know you have been with a lot of goals and ambitions and everything. And while we speaking to you, I guess the audience will also know about it. But has there been a time in your life where plans are not working out for you and you feel like, okay, it's over now or anything? Can you please share some moments that were in your life which you have helped you bounce back?
Yeah, like it keeps happening actually. In business, it's like up and down, up and down. But I believe in never quitting. So suppose there's a low time when I'm not able to self sustain. And being a single mother, it's already difficult in a city like Mumbai. It was getting really difficult. So I took up a job, but I would not leave my writing business. I was working as a data analyst, but I was also working with my clients. Even today, I still have a few clients I'm working with them. So it's like, I create I diversify, you could say. When a company diversifies, company doesn't close down their, first business. They just keep adding. So I do that instead of completely quitting. So I never quit anything. Even if I talk about things that I'm really pretty bad at, like music. Some 15 years back, I wanted to learn music. I wanted to learn piano or guitar. And till now, I'm still trying.
Okay.
I'm nowhere close to learning, but I don't quit. I just don't quit.
Okay. So, but then what has been like a mantra of never giving up? Like as you said, you're a single mother and like you're pursuing a job and then you're doing all this. So, like, what has always like kept you like any kind of mantra that you have followed all your life? Like I heard one what you just said, self-pitying and never self-pitying. Is there anything else that you have like put in together with like, name, I won't give up? Any such mantras else you have kept with you?
So if you hear the stories of famous people, they tell you stories of not their brilliant lives. They tell
Right.
you stories of struggle. So if I'm struggling more, that means in future I'm going to be more successful.
Right.
I believe that. Think about J.K. Rowling. She was in a pathetic condition. She didn't even have her own house. She used to live with like their services, and she had a kid. Husband threw her out. The husband used to beat her. She did not even have a job, and now everybody knows her, what she is.
Right.
So all the great stories have gone through struggles. The reason why you get struggles in your life is because life is trying to teach you something. You are unwilling to learn. That is why you're struggling. The moment you start taking life as a teacher, things will start to improve. And it has happened in my life. I have also been through a moment when I did not even have enough money to buy some vegetables. So I opened the gulak of my kid. I took out 200 rupees from that, and then I bought it.
Okay.
And I had a car, and the petrol was filled, but I had not a single rupees in my account or in my pocket. So I traveled to a meeting. I met a potential client. I got a project. And only thing I had was that car with 1,000 rupees petrol filled last week. So yeah, it happens. But I have learned a lesson because I have never given value to money. I was always like, I never had to worry about it. So, but then life taught me that money is important. You have to think about it. So writers are like that actually. A creative writer, they just want to write, whatever they feel like, even if it doesn't fetch them money. I used to be like that too. And then life taught me, this is not how life works. You have to earn. And then now I value money. I have started saving. And I've given a promise to my kid that that condition will never come again. So yeah,
Okay.
take life as a lesson. Then difficulties won't look bad, so bad.
Well, definitely. That's really motivation what you just told and shared right now. Definitely. Okay. Moving on to the next thing. Who would you say has been your biggest supporter through your entire life?
Actually, different people at times. Like you learn, you know, grow on different people. Like initially, my dad was my biggest inspiration. Then I lost him. Then my mom was my biggest inspiration because she's been very bold. 3 kids, all girls, and no husband, no earning. She was a pensioner. That was one good thing. But I never saw, any sadness on her face. She was always happy and she used to keep us happy because we were her inspiration and she was ours. After that, I came out. So I had a lot of friends. So friends used to inspire me. Then I got married. Then I had a kid. Now my kid is my inspiration.
So over the ways in life, everyone you have found motivation in every person, you could say, in different times of your life.
Yes. Even books inspire me. The moment I read a good book, I get so inspired. I start recommending it to everyone.
Now
That
I'm coming for those recommendations. That is going to be my next question to you. So when you're
okay.
sad or when you're like in those zones where you feel chalo abhi sab khatam ho gaya hai, which are the top three recommendations of books you would like to give people?
Uh, I actually read story,
Okay.
the story by Robert McKee. It is not actually a motivational or inspirational book. It is more about storytelling, but the way it describes the world of stories, it is really inspiring. I like
Okay.
that one. And then there is, so I actually get inspired by concepts also. So with
Okay.
me, it's different. Otherwise, I like Mitch album books. They are quite inspirational. Alchemist also I used to like. Um, but nowadays, I read more of, non-fiction stuff.
Mhm.
And story is one of my favorite books.
Okay.
And I also read some self-help books like even Brian Tracy. I listen to his audiobooks. They are quite inspirational. I've also read books like, Deep Work, Cal Newport. So it's like I have variety.
I know, like I'm really hesitating to ask you the next question because I cannot even ask you because I think when if after asking you that question you're going to give me multiple names, but yet I'll go forward and ask you. So currently, what is the book that you're reading, or
Yes.
books what you're reading?
I'm currently, I've just started reading this one. It's on data storytelling. And
Yeah.
I have another version, which is about learning. So currently, I am trying to do research in learning and development. So I'm reading a book, Map It, Design for How People Learn. And this is a new book. There's another data storytelling. So depending on what is my current goal in life, I pick some favorite books and I start reading.
All right. Okay. Helping on to the next question. As a single mother, and like today's our theme is also Stree Shakti. What would you want to give advice to all the women who are in a similar situation like yours? What would be that one or two things or advices that you would want to give them?
Be independent. It's pretty much required. And in today's world, it's actually very easy to earn sitting at home. But
Mhm.
if you really want to earn, you have to be open to learning. And most of the people, they want quick bucks, but they don't want to work for it.
Mhm.
Why will anybody give you money unless
Right.
you have something to offer?
Mhm.
Like they keep asking me, don't you have some, work from home kind of opportunity? Well, I have work from home opportunity. I work from home. I can give you writing opportunity. No, I can't do writing. Is there something which is simpler? If you look for simple, then why would someone give you money? They
Right.
are also, hard earned money for them. So
That.
willingness to learn is required. And willingness to learn is not just about, learning subject, but even how to interact with technology, how to talk to people, how to have empathy. So you have to keep learning.
Okay. When we talk about empathy, okay, as a part, like this is another for like a word that keeps popping up in everyone's mind, and in the last 5 or 6 years, like this word has taken like a very big part in everyone's life. So when I would like to ask you, when it comes to empathy, how do you empathize with any writer who comes up to you on a personal level and say, ki, I'm no one right now. I'm completely like a loser. I need to polish up my skills. I need to. So are you like the person who's blunt on your face ki bhai nahi ja kaam kar, or do you have that empathy kind of a thinking nahi beta baitho ye karo wo karo? How does that work out for you? Are you empathetic or are you like totally blunt?
Sometimes I'm blunt, but not always. Sometimes I'm empathetic. If you are a person who is not being practical, like I'll give you one example. There was one girl who was my friend. We were in the same engineering college. Long after we separated, she was in Nagpur and I was in Mumbai. She called me and she was very depressed and like suicidal talk she was doing.
Okay.
I said, why don't you do one thing? You like writing, I know. So I will teach you writing. In fact, I will get you a job immediately. You come to Mumbai. I'll speak to a client who wants to give me one job, but since he's offering little low rate, so I will give it to you as a fresh start. You can do that work. So that was showing empathy, and I actually spoke to the client. I took the project. She was
Okay.
supposed to come to Mumbai, learn a little from me, and then start working. So she, at that time, this was I think 15 years, like I mean some 13 14 years back. And at that time I had given her a project of 20,000 per month,
Okay.
which was a good amount.
It was, yes.
Yeah, she came to Mumbai, and then I started waiting for her. Okay, why is she not a bit? The time to submit the first article was there, and she was not. She was not anywhere. So I called her. She said, "No, yaar, Mumbai. I don't like this city. This is really boring. I don't think I'll be able to sustain here." She was living with her brother in Mumbai. Said, "I just chilled out. I enjoyed. Now I'm gonna go back." I said, I've already taken a project only for you. And she had a 6-year-old daughter also.
Okay.
And she was divorced. Her
Okay.
husband had left her. Like, if this is where empathy would take me, okay, I have to be blunt. Then I will never go back to her or help such kind of people. So you have to know what kind of people they are. Do they even deserve empathy? Or they don't?
Mhm.
If she was really in a need, and it was not just a sob story she told me, she would have taken up that job. At that time it was a good offer.
It was, yes. Like
So
15 years
yeah,
back, if I was talking about like 20K, that's really, really low. Yeah.
yeah, even now if you give her a 20K project, I will also take it. As a freelancer, that's different, not as a job. But yeah, she was going to get free coaching from me also,
Okay.
and client also. And another girl, I tell you, she actually worked with me. She wanted to do a project in HR. So, and she was not finding any company. So she just asked me, can you do something? I have urgency. I have to do this. But she was a passionate girl. I said, okay, fine, you do this. And while she was working with me on an HR project, so I told her, I created a special project for her so she could work and show good things for her MBA. Then she said, I also find writing interesting. That is why I came to you. Said, fine. If you're really interested, I'll teach you. 3 months you're working with me, I'll also teach you a bit of writing. I
Mhm.
started giving her some advice on writing and also some experimental projects. So she wrote some 5 articles with me, and she was good. She was really good.
Okay.
Then I actually helped her understand how she can, become a writer professionally. After 1 year, she called me after the project was over, everything was done. She called me, she said, I have left HR and I have become a content writer.
Okay.
And I am open to taking new work. Uh, do you have anything? I was like, wow, why not? I have only trained you. I know you're doing well. And I started giving a project. So after that, we did some work for a couple of months, and after that, she left. She left for Dubai. After 1 more year, I called her and I said, okay, for so many days I've been trying to connect with you, but where were you? So she told, I have actually started a content agency
Okay.
and I now have 8 clients. That's wonderful. I can also be your client. I have some work. She said, sorry, I'm really booked. And she was asking for the same rate that I was. So
Okay.
within 2 years, her life changed because I did show her empathy and to that girl also. But look at the difference. She wrote some 5 articles for me for free.
Mhm.
But then she was able to set up a business. And now even today, she has that agency. And now she's in Dubai
Okay.
and doing really well. So
That's
there, I
nice.
don't, regret that I helped her because she deserved it.
Mhm. That's that. No, definitely. See, like you just explained empathy in a very beautiful manner today. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Okay, like this is a little bit the generic one, so I don't know like if it's going to be okay to ask you, but then again, so like you have already like established 2 brands for yourself, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 6 years?
I'm trying to create another brand. Actually, it's going to be same Global Writers Academy only, but there will be a twist. Instead of keeping writing on forefront, I am trying to keep training on forefront, and it will be more of a learning and development initiative. So I'm actually building a portal that
Mhm.
is going to teach people how to write a book, not just teach people how to write a book, but actually write a book. And by the end of the program, you will end up not just writing a book, but creating a book with all the designs, pictures, ideas, everything ready. It will be like a ready-made book. You just pick it and publish it.
Okay.
So that is the portal that I'm building. I think it will take a few months, maybe even a year or more. It's a
Okay.
huge task, and I have a team also. I have a designer, and I have my assistant who's working with me on transcripts and all, and I have a team of developers. So we are all working on it, and hopefully I'll be able to come up with something by next year.
Definitely. We all will be waiting for it. Okay. All right. So that comes to the end of the personal journey. So now we start with the questions, which is going to be 3 questions to ask you. So this is like choose one, leave one. If you want to explain why, you're free to open for it. If not, you can just answer the word and move forward. Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
let's go. Spending time on the beach or spending time with your kid?
Kid on beach.
Okay. Okay. Going back to life as it is. Okay. Like you go back as it is, like you get a chance to live your life again. You go back as it is and you get a chance. Or go back 5 years from now and see what you have become.
As it is.
As it is. You want to go life as it is. Any particular reason why?
मेहनत कर चुकी हूँ दोबारा से क्यों करूँ?
Okay, the last question. Okay. As you're a writer, okay, and you said that there is like as you're writing in multiple fields and multiple things. So what did you go for? Non-fiction or fiction?
Both.
एक चूज करना है यार अभी तुम वापस वो जोनिंग वाला चीज मत डाल दो मेरे ऊपर कि जोन हुआ तो ये करूंगा ये होगा
I do both actually. Fiction भी लिख रही हूँ, non fiction भी लिख रही हूँ. दोनों बुक पे काम कर रही हूँ मैं.
ठीक है दोनों पे करोगे आप definitely okay and before we go the last question okay if you have to describe Pooja Dubey in a set of few words okay a set of few words or you have to make up a sentence what would that be?
I could say I'm a crazy explorer who always have ideas.
Okay, crazy explorer who always have ideas. Okay. Definitely.
On short notice, this is max I can do.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Pooja, it was a great conversation with you. Really enjoyed
Same
every
here.
minute and every moment with it. And definitely our viewers will too enjoy this. All
Yeah, I
right.
enjoyed your questions also. Very creative.
Thank you. All right. You take care then, and we'll see you in the next coffee conversation. All right.
Sure.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye. Bye.